Hello everyone. Today I'm trying something new. This is going to be a drive and retelling of the Kelsey Berreth case from 2018. Please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share the video where you will. Thank you. In November of 2018, Kelsey Berreth was a 29-year-old woman who lived in Woodland Park, Colorado. She was 5'3" and 110 pounds. She was the mother to an infant daughter, and she considered herself engaged to the baby's father, Patrick Frazee. Kelsey had met Patrick online sometime in 2016, and a few months later, she moved to Woodland Park to be closer to him. In October of 2017, Kelsey and Patrick became parents to a baby girl. Their relationship was called complicated by some people who knew the couple. The new parents lived in separate homes. Patrick lived with his mother on a ranch in Florissant, while Kelsey lived about 20 miles away in a rented condo in Woodland Park. Kelsey was an outdoorsy type person. She enjoyed hiking, running, bike riding, paddleboarding, canoeing, and anything to do with horses. She has been described in glowing terms by people who knew her. They have stated that Kelsey was an overall good person and a loving and devoted mother. She was kind-hearted, sweet, soft-spoken, reliable, responsible, considerate, compassionate, honest, loving, and warm. People have said that Kelsey made others around her feel good just by being there. Kelsey was employed as a flight instructor with a commercial pilot's license. She worked in Pueblo, Colorado, which was a commute of around 70 miles from Woodland Park. In May of 2018, Kelsey purchased a townhouse located at 269 East Lake Avenue, Woodland Park. Some of Kelsey's neighbors reported seeing Patrick or his truck over there so often that they did not really realize that the couple lived apart. Patrick Frazee was 32 years old, 6'3", and 205 pounds. He was a local. He was self-employed as a farrier, a cattle rancher, a rodeo competitor, and dog breeder. People who knew Patrick described him as quiet and shy, stoic, a cowboy type, a stand-up, real good guy, a great dad, soft-spoken, down-to-earth, practical, and a bit of a recluse. A few people also mentioned that Patrick could be impatient and callous, and some said that he had a bad temper. Patrick lived and worked on the 35-acre ranch owned by his mother, located at 1713 Wildhorn Road in Florissant, Colorado. He raised herding dogs at this location, but he also traveled to other ranchers in the county to shoe horses. Ranchers have long and irregular hours. Kelsey and Patrick met each other online in 2016. Kelsey was living in Washington at the time. The couple met in person, and things heated up quickly. Kelsey was extremely happy to move to Colorado to be closer to Patrick after only a couple of months. He gladly helped her move. The couple never actually lived together. Kelsey rented a condo in Woodland Park, and within months the couple was engaged and expecting a baby. Their daughter was born in October of 2017. Probably made sense to Kelsey that the couple maintained separate residences. They were worried about finances. Patrick was concerned that the economy had changed and he wasn't making enough profit with his cattle. They needed to wait and save money before they could get married and get a ranch of their own. They never got around to setting a wedding date. Patrick worked at the ranch, and the work of a rancher involves irregular hours. The ranch is in the rural community of Florissant, which had a population of 104 on the 2010 census. Woodland Park is a town of over 8,300 people. Kelsey needed to commute to Pueblo for work, so she lived in Woodland Park, where there are stores and medical services nearby for herself and her daughter. What Kelsey did not realize was that Patrick had other reasons for them to live apart. He had another woman in his life. Krystal Kenney was a 32-year-old nurse, and she lived in Idaho. She had been in an on-and-off relationship with Patrick Frazee for 12 years. They began dating back in 2006. They had similar interests, including the rodeo. In 2010, Krystal married someone else and had children with him. But in 2015, Krystal took a trip to Colorado and rekindled her romance with Patrick while still legally married. She returned to Idaho, but she kept returning back to Colorado to visit Patrick at the ranch. Sometime in 2016, Krystal became pregnant with Patrick's child. She ended the pregnancy and filed for divorce from her husband on April 29, 2016. Krystal continued to live in the home with her estranged husband and their children even after the divorce was finalized on June 27, 2016. She did not speak to Patrick for a while. Krystal and Patrick began talking again in October of 2017. This was the same month that he and Kelsey were welcoming their newborn daughter into their lives. In March of 2018, Krystal visited Patrick at the ranch in Florissant, and they reignited their intimate relationship. Patrick never mentioned Kelsey or their baby. In August of that year, Krystal learned from another person that Patrick had a child. Krystal confronted him, and he explained it away as being a bad situation. He said that Kelsey was his baby's mother and that she was not a good person. He began telling Krystal stories, putting Kelsey in a negative light. In August of 2018, Kelsey admitted herself to a clinic that treats anxiety and depression for 2 weeks. The facility does not treat substance abuses. Patrick told Krystal that Kelsey was an alcoholic. By the beginning of September, Patrick had convinced Krystal that Kelsey was an immediate threat to the baby girl. He convinced Krystal that they needed to kill Kelsey to save the baby. They concocted a plan for Krystal to take some drugs from work and poison a cup of Starbucks coffee and give it to Kelsey. On September 23, 2018, Krystal drove from Idaho to Woodland Park. She picked up her aunt in Greeley, Colorado on the way. They stopped at Starbucks and picked up a coffee. Krystal did not put anything in it, but took it to Kelsey's townhouse. Krystal's aunt was still in the car when Krystal introduced herself to Kelsey under a false name and claiming to be a neighbor. She gave Kelsey the number to a burner phone that she had purchased under Patrick's direction. After befriending Kelsey, Krystal gave the coffee to her. Krystal said that Patrick was angry when she told him that she did not poison the coffee. Patrick sent her an apology text the next day and told her that there would be another chance. Krystal came back to Colorado on October 15th, 2018. This time, Patrick gave her a metal pipe. He told her to hit Kelsey on the back of the head and put her in the trash. Krystal took the pipe to Kelsey's home. She got out of her car with the pipe, but was frightened when a dog barked. She drove back to Patrick's house and left the pipe by the gate. On October 23rd, Krystal took another trip to Colorado. She brought a baseball bat from her home in Idaho. She parked at Kelsey's house for a while and then realized that she couldn't do it. She drove to Patrick's house. Patrick was angry with her. She quoted him as saying that he would have to do it himself. On November 1st, 2018, Patrick called Krystal and asked her to return to Colorado. By this time, Krystal had babysat Kelsey and Patrick's daughter and no longer believed Patrick's stories about Kelsey. She told Patrick that she could not fit a trip to Colorado into her schedule. Kelsey was always very close to her family. She talked to them on the phone regularly. The last voice conversations from Kelsey to her mother occurred on the morning of November 22nd, 2018. In the first call, Kelsey told her mom that she had not gotten home until 4 o'clock that morning. The day before, she had been with Patrick checking on his cattle. She told her mom that Patrick was suffering from a stomach ulcer, and that after she dropped him off at his home, she drove to Woodland Park to get medicine for him from the Walmart pharmacy and brought it back to him. When she was finished taking care of Patrick, Kelsey and the baby went back to their home. That morning, Kelsey asked her mom for a bread recipe so that she could make bread and dip. She told her mom that she, Patrick, and the baby had plans to go out for Thanksgiving. Phone records show that while Kelsey was running errands for Patrick, he called Krystal on the phone. Krystal said that he was talking to her about her Thanksgiving plans. Records also showed that Patrick and Kelsey had phone contact with each other 7 times between 1 and 4 a.m. Kelsey spoke to her mother again at 9:17 on the morning of November 22nd to discuss Christmas plans. At 9:37 a.m., Kelsey sent a text to Patrick. They then spoke on the phone with each other for 3.5 minutes around 9:40 a.m. Kelsey and her daughter were seen on security cameras at 12:37 p.m., leaving the Safeway in Woodland Park. Receipts indicate that Kelsey had purchased the ingredients for dip and for some flowers. Between 12:31 and 12:33 p.m., there was call activity between Patrick and Kelsey's cell phones. Patrick made a 35-second call to her, and then she returned an 8-second response. Both cell phones were connected to the same tower in Woodland Park. At 12:37, video from Williams Brothers Furniture showed Kelsey in her vehicle heading towards her townhouse. Then, at 12:41 p.m., there was a text between Kelsey and Patrick. Between 12:54 and 1:17 p.m., Patrick was seen on security footage at the Walmart in Woodland Park. He was carrying a baby carrier with a blanket that looked like the one that Kelsey had on the baby seat in the Safeway footage. At 1:34 p.m., a neighbor's security camera captured someone that appears to be Patrick entering the front door of Kelsey's townhouse. Kelsey and the baby were also seen in the same footage. Cell tower records show that Patrick remained in the Woodland Park area until 4:30 p.m. What happened next that afternoon is known because of Krystal's testimony against Patrick. He told her that while the baby was in a playpen in another room, he asked Kelsey to play a game with him. He was going to blindfold her and have her guess the scents of some candles. While she had a sweater over her eyes, Patrick began swinging a baseball bat at her head. He told Krystal that Kelsey's last words were, "Please stop." At 3:36 p.m., Patrick was seen again at Kelsey's home on his neighbor's security footage. According to Krystal's testimony, Patrick then placed Kelsey inside a plastic tote. He took the tote outside and placed it on the ground near Kelsey's green Toyota before picking it up and placing it in the bed of his truck. Patrick was recorded on video at the drive-thru of E&T Credit Union. The baby was not visible inside the truck, but her baby carrier was visible. Also visible on the footage was the black tote in the bed of the truck. Patrick kept Kelsey's phone with him. Cell phone records show that the two phones were together for the next few days. Patrick called his mother around 4:24 p.m. Cell tower records showed that his phone was using a tower near Kelsey's townhouse, and then he was heading west from there. Patrick texted Krystal around 4:30 and called her at 4:37. That time, cell records show that he was in Divide, which is west of Woodland Park, but east of Florissant. Krystal stated that Patrick told her that she had a mess to clean up. She knew that what he meant. She knew that he meant that he had gotten rid of Kelsey. He told Krystal to bring supplies for the cleanup with her. Patrick drove with the baby to Nash Ranch. Once there, Patrick used a tractor to place the black tote on top of haystacks in a barn. Then he drove to Florissant and had Thanksgiving dinner with his family. Cell tower records show that both Patrick's and Kelsey's phones were together, first in the area of Kelsey's townhouse, then near Divide. Phones continued to move west, lost signal, and then were shown going towards Cripple Creek, which is also the direction of travel to get to Nash Ranch. The phones went off-grid again, then the two phones were located together in Florissant. Krystal testified that she tried to get out of coming to Colorado for the cleanup. Krystal said that she was afraid of Patrick and what he might do, so she agreed to do the cleanup. Patrick used Kelsey's phone that night to text her mother. On Friday, November 23rd, 2018, Krystal borrowed a friend's car and headed to Colorado around 6:30 p.m. She had packed cleaning supplies and clothing to keep from getting stained or leaving evidence behind. Patrick contacted her while she was on the way and told her of special areas of concern, including an air duct vent. Cell phone records show that Patrick called Kelsey's phone that morning, but that both phones were together at Patrick's residence. Later in the day, Patrick and Kelsey's phones both traveled to the same place that they had been the previous evening, Nash Ranch, which is west of Cripple Creek. Krystal arrived in Woodland Park around 7:30 a.m. on Saturday, November 24th, 2018. Before she went to Kelsey's home, she stopped and picked up a set of keys from Patrick. Krystal spent 3 to 4 hours cleaning, but purposely left some evidence behind for law enforcement. She gathered up items that she could not clean and threw them away. These items included baby toys, a Bible, curtains, and pillows. She found a tooth and threw it away too. When she was done cleaning, Krystal put the trash bags into the car she was driving and went to Sonic. The vehicle she was driving was recorded on surveillance footage from the Woodland Park Sonic. Around 4:30 p.m., Patrick and Krystal were both recorded on video at the Conoco station around a mile from his home. They filled up his vehicle and a 5-gallon gas can. Krystal and Patrick went to Nash Ranch. Patrick's mother was taking care of the baby. Patrick retrieved the tote and Kelsey's gun. He gave the gun and Kelsey's phone to Krystal. Krystal and Patrick returned to Patrick's ranch. They made a bonfire using gasoline and oil as accelerants. They burned the tote, the trash bags from the crime scene, and a baseball bat. Krystal went back to Idaho with Kelsey's phone turned on, as well as her own. She claimed she did this so that law enforcement would seek her out. Krystal said that Patrick wanted it to look like Kelsey went off on her own. He told Krystal to text him from Kelsey's phone, saying, "Do you even love me anymore?" He also told her to text Kelsey's work, saying that she wouldn't be in for a week. Krystal got rid of evidence on November 24th and 25th. She threw Kelsey's keys in a gorge and gave her gun to a friend. After texting Kelsey's work, she burned her cell phone. Kelsey's mom called the Woodland Park Police Department at 12:37 p.m. on December 2nd, 2018. She requested a welfare check on Kelsey. She had not heard from her in over a week, and that was very unusual. She had already contacted Patrick, who had claimed not to know where Kelsey was either. The missing person investigation began. Patrick Frazee was arrested on charges of December 21st, 2018. On February 4th, 2019, Krystal Kenney was charged with 1 felony count of tampering with physical evidence, and on February 8th, 2019, she pled guilty to that charge, with her sentence being deferred until after Patrick Frazee's trial. On November 1st, 2019, Patrick Frazee's trial began. On November 18th, the jury found him guilty of all charges, and the judge sentenced him to life without the possibility of parole, plus 156 years. He is currently incarcerated in the Arkansas Valley Correctional Facility in Ordway, Colorado. On January 28th, 2020, Krystal Kenney was sentenced to 3 years in prison. She is currently serving her time at the Denver Women's Correctional Facility.